as this election continues, what is going to happen on January 5th? Will Georgia have a recount of the election? Who's going to be inaugurated on January 20th? And this leads to a lot of concerns and a lot of questions for the American people out there, whether you're a liberal or a conservative or you stay moderate. So as we guys know now, that our country is, there's double standards. There's double standards going on right now. And to remind ourselves, who are the liberals, okay? Liberals are great, they're awesome. They are the life of the party in this country. They bring so much joy and entertainment in our lives. These are the liberals. Liberals are like the people. They care so much about the people. They care so much about, you know, the laughter. These are where you have most of the progressive that are fighting for, you know, the black rights and the minorities and things that are going on, okay? These are the liberals. Now, who are the conservatives? So the conservatives are the defender and the backbone of the country, of the land. They are the patriots that will defend their rights. Unfortunately, big tech keep hammering them down. So the conservatives are the people who knows and understands their rights in this country and willing to defend the country, okay? United States is based on liberalism and conservatives, okay? And that's what makes America great. That's what makes America unique and so different from all of the other countries in the world, okay? And it's why we have the Constitution, because we're so different here, you know, whether you're far left or far right, where everyone is equal, okay? You have the right to speak, you have the right to own whatever you want, you have the right to grow as far as you want to go, become successful, you know, based on the Constitution. You can go as far as you want to go. The choice is yours, okay? If you're willing to work hard and go further than that, awesome. You will go further, you know? Everybody is held accountable based on their act, based on how they utilize their citizenships in this country as well, okay? But with the election 2020, we have gone far left, where the left are fighting for the injustice and the things that are going on in our system that we see in the front line, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that those things are not happening or they don't exist, okay? As we can see in a shallow thinking, if you go to most destructive neighborhoods, the most poverty, the people that live there are mostly black people, okay, and the minorities. You go to New York, there's so many projects. There's subsidized housing. There's Section 8. There's all of these things that the system has been giving to these people. But again, there's still destruction. There's crimes going on. There's a lot of problems going on. So we see that it's very clear, and that is something that needs to be addressed, and the left are addressing that. Okay. Where you have the right, the conservatives who believes in hard work and the tradition and the things that makes us great and believes that we're all equal, okay? And these people are thriving in most of these Republican states, and some of them, you know, don't see what's going on in the left or in the property world because maybe they've never been there. But there are conservatives who start from scratch or start from nothing, and they work their way up and realize that they can see from the both sides of what the left are fighting for and what the conservatives are fighting for. Socialism is not of United States, okay? And I think this is where a lot of people are completely forgetting that, that we have an enemy between the left and the right, which is the socialism. Now, to give you guys a little bit more about what socialism really plays out. So, with socialism is mostly what you see in other countries, okay? Socialism is against freedom. There is no middle class. It's all about power while the rulers gain and the poor suffer, okay? But of course, we live in a millennial age, in a generational age where we live in such a wonderful country where everything was given to us with such privilege that we have, you know, being as Americans, that we don't even understand completely what is happening outside of the United States and why socialism is something you do not want in this country, okay? But until both sides recognize that socialism is something that we do not want in this country, where you have governors that are tyrants and giving you rules that don't even make sense just to control the people, when the people are smart enough and capable to make their choices, and basically telling you that you're stupid and that we're gonna go ahead and tell you guys what to do, okay? That's something we have to recognize. That's something we have to recognize. Who is the enemy of the people, okay? Both left and right as well. And I believe you guys remember when we had the first lockdown, you know, that was the first time coronavirus was known as the novel virus. Nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew what it was capable of doing. We couldn't even trust China because China was not being transparent. So America pretty much had to figure out on their own. But we did get the instruction from the CDC guidelines and, you know, how you should protect yourself and also how you should wash your hands and, you know, the 6 feet distancing, wear your face mask and so on and so. So we got those instructions, and most Americans, as long as we have the instructions, we're pretty good at following them. But to have it get to the point where it becomes a civil unrest or a civil war, where someone is being threatened because they're not wearing a face mask in public, their action will result in their accountability, okay? That's what we know is every human being has the ability to know what they're doing, whether it's right or wrong, and that their actions will follow through later. So to continue on, a friend of mine actually brought some of this to my attention. So as we continue to talk about these and how we can, you know, come to understand each other and agree to disagree in the next couple of months, because it's going to get really intense, and I believe that this is the moment that people really need to start speaking out, because the silence is causing a lot of people paranoia and assumption and things that are going on in the country. So she brought up to my attention, okay? And this is the moment we should really sit down and think, really think hard. What is happening? What is happening in this country, okay? So we are completely divided, we see that. We are polarized, we see that, and allowing socialism to bring out the worst of far left and far right. And I believe we see that too as well. So if we ask ourselves these questions, what do you think the future of this country is? Okay. And, you know, these questions really had me thinking as well, you know. Because we really don't know what the future of this country is. But there's still a lot of people that actually understands what is going to happen, okay? You even have foreigners who moved into this country as migrants and realize that, you know what, the American people here do not understand what socialism is. These are the things that we run away from to come into the United States, knowing that that's the only country in the world where you can be free, where you can actually live a life without fear. Okay, and these people have important voice. It's important to listen to them as well. Hear their stories out, okay? Because there's many minorities that are supporting Trump right now and all these mega rallies as they speak out to know that we do not want corruption in this country, okay? Being ruled by tyrants, okay? This is what brings out the 1776. So you've probably been hearing that lately. 1776 is the beginning of revolution, that there might be a revolutionary war, there might be a civil unrest. 1776, to give you guys some information for those that don't know what it is, okay, is an American Revolutionary War that happened at that time, okay, to be free from the Great Britain tyrants. Okay, Great Britain were taxing people high taxes, and they were thriving off it. Okay, so it was another battle to cut off taxes, and to create all men equal. Okay, around that same year, declarations of the independence was also the 13 states that came out and fought against slavery, the anti-slavery. Vermont was the first state to fight against anti-slavery. Okay, so 1776 was an American Revolutionary War to fight against the Great Britain and to also eliminate these tyrants that wanted to keep slaves still in slavery. Okay, so I just want to get that information out to you. So right now in 2020, as you guys see in some of these governments that are giving these tyrant restrictions, like Governor Cuomo, what is the future that we want? Okay, and what do we look for in the future? Okay, because I think a lot of people are really starting to forget the pre-life that we had before COVID, and how we were so free spirit, and you laugh with your friends, even though your friends like something that you don't like. We don't condemn each other. We don't judge each other based on our characters. Okay, we all acknowledge that we are all different, and that God said, be at peace with man as much as it is up to you. Okay, if you want to tolerate, if you can't tolerate certain people, or you want to go against it, then you're basically creating more enemies. Okay, but if you're willing to know that, okay, that's another human being like you, they just like, different color, or they like different certain things, respect them for it. Okay, and those were also the days that we would tell each other the truth. If your friend was doing something wrong that could harm them later, you wouldn't hold back to tell them the truth, or to at least let them know that this is bad for you. Now, it doesn't mean you don't like them. It doesn't mean you hate them. It just shows that you are willing to tell the truth, but it's up to them to accept it or leave it. Okay? Now, and it doesn't give you any reason to reject it. So if they reject your advice, you don't hold that as a grudge and say, you know what, I don't like you because you disagree with what I am telling you, even though you're right. Okay? Is a matter of saying it. Once you say it, it takes time for a person to wake up into it and realize that, okay, that person was really looking out for me. Okay? Because the results will come later, and it will show that person, that what you're doing is good for you or bad for you. Okay? This is how God works. And the other question that we should ask ourselves is, some of these things that are reminding us of, things that happened back in the days, like the civil rights movement, with people fighting for their freedom. And you have that one example in New York where some of the counties are being shut down while the other county still operates. And you have in Memphis, Tennessee, where some people are being threatened for certain things, it brings back that segregation that we had in the past. So it's almost like history repeating itself over again. Okay, so if we look in the near future, most likely it's like history has started all over again. Okay, but these are the things we should talk about. These are the things we want to discuss. These are the things that we want to hear from other people, so that we can lift our fear and not be an assumption. And it's not to condemn anyone or judge anyone, because of course God said, "Thou shalt not condemn or judge others based on their opinions." Okay, but you can rebuke, you can correct, you can speak the truth, and it's up to that person to accept it or to listen. As God also said, be slow to speak and quick to listen. The only way we learn in this world is from others, from each other. Okay? Now, there's some people who are really good listeners and willing to listen to the whole opinion. There's some people who just listen only to respond. Okay? And in this stage of age, people have been so segregated, so it's like you're either on this side or you're on this side, and nobody wants to listen to both sides, okay? Now, these are the signs of worse to come, okay? When we refuse to listen to both sides, when we refuse to acknowledge what is going on the other side of the fence, okay? In order to know if what is going on your end is actually good or bad, because then you can't tell the difference, this is where problems grows and escalate even more, okay? Right now, there's still a chance. So if the problem continue to grow and get deeper, it's not a good look for the country, and it's definitely not a good look for the rest of the world as well, okay? But of course, this is the waiting game. So we're just gonna wait what's gonna happen on January 5th with the re-election of Georgia, and also who's going to be inaugurated on January 20th. Because January 20th by noon, somebody has to be inaugurated, okay? That's by the Constitution. The only way we're not gonna know who our president is going to be at that time is if they break a tie, okay? If Joe Biden and Trump breaks a tie, then the House of Representatives takes over the office until we have a president. So these are all the updates I wanted to give to you guys today. So stay tuned for more update next weekend. And we want to, continue to give you our effort of news as much as we can here at Temper Africa TV and LA9 Talk Show. So if anyone want to comment below, or if there's some questions you have or anything that's going on, feel free to reach out to us, okay? Because we want to continue to talk about these topics, as we are all different human beings with different opinions. So we want to come together, and whether you're a far left liberal, or whether you're a conservative, or whether you're a socialism, whichever way you operate in this world. So have a wonderful night, and we'll see you all again next weekend.